Okay, where we stopped yesterday, I see that as I look through this, I know we only have 4 days to go, and tomorrow's a short day too. So we'll do what we can. In the end, he starts going back through all the different days. So we kind of done that a little bit. I mean, not a lot. There's a lot more to do there. But over here on page Kuf Pei Aleph, then previously on page Kuf Pei Bet, this was the Inyan of shaving the beard. On page Kuf Pei Bet, he says in the Shefa Kavanos, we'll just look at it, we saw it yesterday, or whatever. He says, Kasa b'Sefer Torah b'Rekes, the ha'olam chosher to tam Isser, let's skip through that. Aval the boim b'sod Hashem, I'm skipping down, past the brackets. So he said, Aval the boim b'sod Hashem, yodim b'divrei chazoyer she'ein zeh machmas kach. The reason why we don't shave is not because of the death of the students of Rabbi Akiva. Rak machmas sheyamim haladucha nishbech shefa shal yud gimel midas arachamim. This is what's going on. There's a special shefa that's coming down. Midas arachamim is coming from Eric Ampen. Agidech hatzinura shehim sod hasaras al yonim is coming down to us. There's a rachmanis here. It's coming down to us through the hair. Negdam ana medalgim magadlim asaras b'yomim alhem. For this reason, we grow the hair at this time. Mitam zecha be'ein lehis galos lehis galeach gam lo b'yom lag ba'omer also in lag ba'omer. That's what the Rav says not to do that. Umichu heter the galeach b'yom mem ches la'omer. There's those that say that. There's a kind of a little idea there. Because of the yesh bezecha b'sod gadol, vein roy legalkus b'shum covered of the kem hester dover. So I'm going to stop that there, and I'm going to go to the previous page, Kuf Pei Aleph. And on Kuf Pei Aleph, we started to read another blurb that was coming off of the. Let me see what's number. Kuf Aleph. Let me find it. Ofen, in any way you're not supposed to. Excuse me, you're not supposed to cut your hair in any way. This is what he says on Lag BaOmer. This is the idea. And he's calling it Lag LaOmer. So if you look at the place where you have like an L shape in this flow here of words, and at the very end of the first leg of the L, it says Kikavar Yudata. Now he's going to go into some things that were a little bit difficult at the moment I saw it first. So I want to talk about Kikavar Yudata ki yesh tikun echad b'gugalta v'hu nikra Omer Naki. So this Omer Naki is the word Omer, I guess for sure. Yesh tikun base. There's a second tikun that comes with it. Now we did read this yesterday, but I just want to do it again. He says, big tikkun base, hanikra, excuse me, tala de bedolcha. Now, I'm not sure why he brought both of these in, but he says there's a concept of Amar Naki, which refers to the hair in the head of Eric Ampen. So he says the concept here that I don't know, he mentioned two things. I think he's talking about the first one. That the Omer is the 10th of an Ephah. Ki Omer, Gematria, Shin Yud. These are lights. Shin Yud Almin, I think. Shin Yud Almin, 310 hidden worlds. Malach Omer Man. And I think that's how you translate that. So that the full Omer is Mayim Nukvin. Osman, so then you put man, and the concept of Omer, Gematria Tov. It comes to the Gematria 400. 400 Almin, the Yarsin Sedekaya, here we go, Arba B'meir Shekel Kasef. Now this phrase, Arba B'meir Shekel Kasef, I mean, he's putting it onto that. I'm not sure exactly, we didn't learn that area, so I'm not sure exactly what he's doing. Based upon Omer, also, if you take the word Omer and you multiply it by 2, you get Matria Kasser. So he wants to say that this is a reference to Kasser in some way. Shuhu the Gugolis, which is the skull. So this hair, which is called the color of Amarnaki, which are found in Kesser. So what do we have now? So we said like this, the Omer comes out to be a tenth of an Ephah. So who sowed Osius Peah? The word ha'ephah is really the word Peah. Shuhu ha'malchus ha'nikra Elokem, and this is Malchus, which is called by the name of Elokem. V'hi mida yud. So it's the, would it be the 10th mida? In other words, it's the bottom of starting from Kesser down to Malchus. Malchus is found here, he's saying, at the Peah. That's the 10th of the Ephah. And I can't quite put it together. I'm just reading what he says, but I don't know exactly what he's trying to tell me here on this phrase, B'shum Ofen. So Rabbi Akiva Dorish Sod Kavim Elu Besod Dorish Kisre Osius. So these lines, he says, these lines, what lines were we talking about here? I don't know. He means the lines. I don't know what lines he means. Besod Kavim Elu Besod Dorish Kisre Osius, but he's Elu Besod Dorish Kisre Osius. So he was darshaning the crowns of the letters. So therefore, since his Talmidim died, it's going in this direction here. Also, the histafer is forbidden to shave your head. Now that's just like a little drop that was put into this mix of ideas. He said, so I'm trying to think of how does it apply. So here he's saying it's previous in the note that we saw previously, talking about the hair. Hairs actually represents the 13 meters of Rachamim in some way. Here he's talking about the hair. This hair, maybe he's talking about this specific hair, is the hair of the concept of Amarnaki. Somehow an Amarnaki refers to, I'm not sure how this works. He says that Peah is the 10th Midah, and I guess he's getting down to where it's actually distributed from there, and I don't know if this has to do with the other idea or not. Let's go to number Kaf Bet. Kaf Bet went on the word Ofen, B'shum Ofen, he says. So now, I probably learned this once before. Omer Shmuel Gam Re'isi the Morizal, that's the Morchu he's talking about now. Shechoy Magaleach Rosho B'yom Mem Ches the Omer. So he said to the 48th. V'lo Yadate Hoya Kavanasa. So I really understood what was shot of it. Why I did that? So since you've come to a point here, I'm not sure when he's talking about this, but 2 Serufim of the name Elokim. Now I didn't know what he was talking about, and he says, what are they? He says they were Kad. So I looked around, I looked all over, but a little bit later I saw that he actually explained it. He said that the name Elokim could be permuted into 120 different combinations. 5 on each letter, 20 on each, was it 20? 24 on each letter. So 5 times 24 is 120. So that's each letter of Elokim. So that the Aleph would have 24 combinations it could be made with the other letters. And then also, what's the next letter? It's a Lamed would have 24. And you go down the line. So therefore, that's the 24 he's talking about. Shehem Mem Ches. So he says, so what does this have to do with anything? Let me read it again. Now you've completed now. I don't know when the now is. 2 confused, or once, let's say once you've completed 2 Serufim Shel Shem Elokim, you had the concept of Kad, which is the concept of Mem Ches. Now, what does this have to do with anything? I'm not sure. So Zecher the Davar Niflos be'Eretz Cham. Eretz Cham is also the number 48. Lo Choya Makbid Liyom Mem Tes. And so it weren't, these words, I'm not sure how to put them together. Lo Choya Makbid Liyom Mem Tes. He wasn't strict about the 49th day. He wanted to do something to commemorate the combinations of the name Elokim that we're talking about. Now, why you want to do that, I'm not sure. And that's the reason why I say a little bit short, be missing is something a little bit from the name Elokim. So the Elokim would be, say, the whole bit. I'm not sure. So in other words, it's less than 49. I think that's what he wants to say. Like a little bit less. Yom echad. So I'm reading it wrong. It's the ma'at. So let me see. No, he said is one day less than the 49 gates. He says Sharon. Oh, kavanasul laos hayosech b'ketana mishem elokim. Our kavana was really on one letter, which is the smallest letter, which is the letter aleph. V'hu ha'os aleph. So aleph means only with the word one. So if you're going to be a little bit short, take away the shorter one. V'nishara beit sirufim shel elokim, and they are ham, come to the number 48. V'lechein koyim mistave begaleach b'yom memches. Now this is the Shmuel. This is the Reb Shmuel Vital saying this about his father. V'ku hester mimeni radava, but he hid this thing from me. Bakash, so he really pushed me away with some straw, I guess gently. I mean, B'amalei, so maybe the barber will not be able to vow lemachar lebais the ga'ukeni in order to cut my hair. So I'll sit b'moed below tigalachas, and I should just sit there on the holiday comes, and there would be nobody that would be able to cut my hair. It would be too late. V'emes yoradarcho, so the truth really shows where he's trying to go. Kain Nil is 90. In other words, he's not really going after that, but there's some hidden reason. So he writes also in this little bracket here, V'ayin and Nair Shalom Daf Nun Tes Omad Aleph, Divir HaMalsko V'Be'inyan the Giluach, talking about that. Shadacha Das Amorim Sheroshai Lugoleach B'Yom Memches. So he wants to push away that idea. Memtes V'Hu Tos. It says a complete mistake. It's a mistake. Okay, let's go on and we'll start reading across the top, and maybe there's something interesting that we're going to get to in the next couple of minutes and tomorrow, Mitzvah. Isbar Inyan Lag Ba'omer. So we'll read across the top, and we come across something we'll look into more deeply, we'll see. Inyan Lag Ba'omer, so he's now calling a Lag Ba'omer. The reason why I say this, because I listened to a drush from the rabbi from Beth Israel once, where he was talking about Rabbi Soloveitchik and about what he's supposed to say. Lag Ba'omer or Ba'omer, or maybe there was a third choice. I thought it was really not interesting. But here it comes over here again. It's Inyan Lag La'omer. So he says it. Sha'aser behesped v'tainis v'nefilis apayim. We're not supposed to do that. He says, Ki hinei memtes yimei ha'omer. Let me get this back down here. Hem yimei ha'din. K'nizker la'el. Shehem sod chosha ha'shach dinim. They're the secret of the 320 dinim, mismatkim b'yamim ha'ela, mismatkim, that are sweetened during this time. Communion and Omer, like the concept of, you take the gematria of the phrase Omer comes to 321, which is like shock with a cola. But Tamhu, the reason with is because the Fisha Chadaim Zah, who call Memtes Yomim Elu Bebechinis Katnas, Adchag Shavuos, is because of that. We're always in a situation of katnus, what's coming around the bend. So he says, Yizboyer Inyan Mises Al Tamid Rabbi Akiva Rabbi Yamim B'Mei HaOmer. V'zeh Yizboyer Tam Inyan Mesisis Esrein V'Arba Elef Tamid Rabbi Akiva Rabbi Yamim Ha'edach V'Chatam Lama Pasco Lamos Balag LaOmer, and he wants to get into this. Yizboyer Shorsh Nishmas Rabbi Akiva. So to understand this, we have to understand the shorish of the shama of Rabbi Akiva, Shuhu B'Chamesh Gevuras HaMukubatzim B'das Dezer Anpin. So he is saying Rabbi Akiva is a Gevura, or represents Gevura, but those Gevuros, the 5 Gevuros that are miskabetz in the Das Dezer Anpin. So he says, Da'aki Rabbi Akiva, Olav Shalom, Shorsh nishmaso choisech min chamisha gevuros behi yosef b'shorsham lamala b'das is anpin. So this is Rabbi Akiva. He's a gevura. He is gevura. Loba b'chinas his pashtusa lamata begufa, and it's not talking about the spread of these into the body. He's really the secret of das. Vein besoda gadlus, vein bisman katnas. But he said that it's 5 gevuros. It's a gevuros. Kamosha kasav to the el, binyan Moshe Rabbeinu alav v'shalom shenem bebel b'yahanes Moshe mefonov. This is a kind of this has to do with the snake. I don't know. That had a yichud. He's talking about yichud the katnas there. I am Shan be'inyan kriyas yamsuf. So look over there when we talk about the kriyas yamsuf. So let me see what else he says. He's boyer shachadas the katnas. Galu mechei chasadim vehe gevuros. So it had 5 chasadim, had gevuros also. Shemas shalachem, and specifically about their names. The hine noidim. Kechadas. I guess he means the 5. They're 5 from chesed to chod. V'hine noidim kechadas the katnas. Gam hu kalu b'chasadim v'gevuros. B'shei itrim elu heim shem elokim demilu elofim. In katnas, it's elokim. Ela she'elokim de chesed. When you look at that one, ha'alef demilu hakush milui ha demilui ha'hei shebo ubetzir yud vav yud. So we have an aleph in there, and it has different ways it could be spelled. Shehal gevur betzir yud vav daled, and that one in the concept of yud vav daled kenitzke the echad betrosh rishon. Binyan shtei kosas delel pesach. It has to do with that. We saw that already. V'shlish and viv einsha. Bir Hashem Akiva. And let's look at the name of Akiva. He says the Akiva, the Kain Nikra Akiva. Why? What's Akiva's lashon ekev? Like Yaakov, maybe. I don't know. Ki shlosha osias ekev, gematria 172. Hein begematria shnei shemus elokim, which is 2 times 86. And this refers to Chesed the Gevura. Shnei osias yud aleph min Akiva. So let's take those 2 letters. There's a yud and there's an aleph in there besides the ekev. So what did he give me? He gave me an ekev, which is a 172, and he gave me a yud aleph, which refers to this the 2 different possibilities of the ways that you can spell the aleph. Now, how's that go? Ki shalachesed is a tzir of yudin, which are yud vav yud. Shehud suras os aleph, which would be the normal way we see the aleph. Shehal gevuro hu b'tzir yud vav daled. The Iker, the Akiva, which you see that in Akiva, B'melua, when you spell out Akiva, so maybe there's a little something to see there. B'melua, V'nimsa ki shnei osius yud aleph shal Akiva, those 2 letters, the yud and the aleph of Akiva, hein shnei tziyuri alofim, they really refer to 2 different combinations of how you can spell the letter aleph, shal shnei elokim, a ramaza b'shlosha osius ekev, which refers to the 2 elokim that is 2 times 86, which he showed us previously, which is 2 elokim, a ramaza b'shlosh osi ekev min Akiva. Let me just read this again. The nimsaki shnei osis yud and aleph refers. I guess we're out of time. That was the time there, trying to analyze this, and we'll get back to it tomorrow with God's help. Kol tov.